Boom, hello and welcome to the Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Byron Rodgers. This podcast is dedicated to the executive protection practitioner, the private security professional. In this podcast, we're going to talk about the mental, emotional, psychological, physiological fitness that goes into being an efficient and effective executive protection agent. Whether you're in law enforcement, whether you're a mom that's looking at how to protect her children, or a father that's focused on how to protect his family, I believe this podcast has something for all of you. We might even get into some tales from the crypts of true Hollywood stories from time to time. I'm doing this podcast because I feel the reality of this job is simple. If you really want to be good at executive protection, it's more than just a job. It really is a lifestyle. And those of you who've been in the game for any serious amount of time, you already know what I'm saying is true. So if that sounds interesting to you, enjoy the show. Out. Boom! What's up, guys? Byron Rodgers here. Executive Protection Lifestyle. Bravo Research Group. Time to do another podcast, man. So I hope you guys are ready. I got some good stuff coming on this podcast. I'm excited about, you know what I mean? I don't want to name drop the types of people that I've got lined up to talk with us about our subject of executive protection lifestyle, but I'm excited, man. And we got some really good sponsors and some dudes coming on that are people that I respect, and I respect what they've done, and they're creating things for the industry that we all use and that we all appreciate. So I'm loving watching where this whole entire thing is going, to be honest with you. So boom. And for today's episode, I want to do a review of a book. And it's a book that I love, man. It's a book that I genuinely believe that I've made probably hundreds of thousands of dollars because I have listened to the advice in this book in the executive protection game. It was probably the second book that I got into in executive protection. The second book I've ever listened to, really towards the beginning of my audio book, podcast, information journey, I guess just to preface this whole stage of my life, really what happened was, one day, I forget which rapper I was listening to. It's irrelevant, but I was listening to some music, and I'll take it back. I'll take it way back. So the way I arrived at this whole kind of way of life, we're talking executive protection lifestyle. So this is all about lifestyle. For me, I do not really sit and watch TV much at all. I don't really listen to music much at all. You know what I mean? People look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of had a little bit of an awakening, I want to think my own thoughts, I also have studied the mind for, in college for the last, almost 6 years. And then before that for a few years as well with the audiobooks that I've chose to read. But I've studied the mind for a long time, and I really value and I really pay attention to what comes inside me, what's coming inside me, because, as Tony Robbins would say, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of the conversation you're having in your head. You know what I mean? You don't have to manage your situation. You've got to manage your mind. That's the game. You know what I'm saying? So one person falls in a mud puddle and hits the ground and is angry and is like, why me? Poor me. It's the most terrible day ever. Another person falls down in the mud puddle, is surprised, laughs, and is like, this is so ridiculous, and then goes to work, has an awesome day, makes fun of themselves, tells their friends about it, and makes a bologna sandwich, those are kind of, to me, that's what I see. Your life is good and bad based on the quality of your thoughts and the content in your mind. So I'm always studying things that are going to strengthen that. And a lot of music out there and a lot of stuff that's on TV is literally intellectual dessert. The quality of the information and the quality of the entertainment is just subpar. My palate isn't interested. if I could say it like that, and I genuinely believe that stuff, a lot of it makes you stupider. You watch the Orange County Housewives or Kardashians or any, just 90% of these shows, they're just not making you smarter, you know. Nonetheless, you know, I was listening to some rap music one day, and I was like, you know what am I even listening to this for? Like, I'm a young man, I'm in my early 20s, I'm getting out of the Marine Corps, like, I gotta figure out who I'm gonna be, what I'm gonna be. I have like way more sophisticated problems to try to really solve with my life, and this music's not contributing to this, you know. So I started to just be kind of like, yo, you know, other people can play around and have fun or whatever, but like for me, the game is upgrading the software by which that I run my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to upgrade my mind gear, if I may, you know. And being the type of dude I was, you know, like just a young little boy from the Bahamas, you know, not even from the Bahamas. Bahamians are ridiculously smart. Their school system is like 6 years ahead of us in America. I came back when I stopped going to school in the Bahamas. I skipped a grade in the Bahamas. I came back here and skipped up a bunch of grades too. I skipped school. I skipped grades in the Bahamas, and I came back here, and I was so bored that I fell behind because I didn't apply myself for a number of different years, and it really actually jammed me up. But it all worked out to my good in the end because it taught me social dynamics. But nonetheless, so, you know, pay attention to the information that's going inside of you, because that information's got to come back out of you. And when you find yourself in a conversation with a high income earner, maybe you find yourself in a conversation with your client, it's your turn to demonstrate value. 9 times out of 10, it's your turn just to shut up and not say anything. That's how you stay alive the longest. But every once in a while, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to need to say something, you need a small talk, and you better come across like you're smart. Because why? Because to the person who's paying you, you know, 6 figures to keep them safe, your ability to be able to your intelligence matters. They're expecting you to be smart enough to keep them safe and keep them alive. So you've got to be, in my opinion, is you got to be of the mindset that you've got to be able to give something, you have something to contribute, you know. Don't think too hard on it. You want it to be organic. You want it to be thoughtless. You want it to just be who you are. So there's a huge component to executive protection, in my opinion, that comes down to, and any profession really, that comes down to cultivating the quality of character and investing in your individual capital. Investing in your individual capital all the time. And the more you invest in your individual capital, the more valuable the things that you're going to have to give people in conversation are going to be. You know what I mean? I forget the adage. It's pretty cool. It's like something like, you know, small minds talk about people, you know, larger minds talk about, it's like 3 levels to it. Larger minds talk about concepts and things like that. It's pretty cool. But with regards to your interactions with your clients, it's something that you want to consider. You know, what are you going to say, like, or when they talk with, and the type of client, you know, this might not be pertinent. You know, if you're with a pop artist, maybe they want to talk about that. If you're with an athlete, maybe they just want to talk about sports, you know. But nonetheless, the laws in this book will help you gain power with regards to social dynamics, no matter what, no matter where you go. And the reason I got on the journey to doing things like this and getting into books like this and audiobooks, as opposed to listening to music, as opposed to like kicking it and watching TV, the reason that I really kind of changed the way I was living is because I was in Paris on a detail, and I remember sitting at a table with the group, with my detail, and there's some bad dudes, you know. I have like, you know, a bunch of special forces dudes at the table with me, you know, recon Marines, like, and I'm like, and one's a recon Marine, other guy's like, you know, in the Navy something, and one of the other guys is, you know, a very successful, you know, power lifter athlete. You know, these guys are like at the top of their game in all of their chosen vocations, and all their chosen vocations have to do with strength and power and being strong and being athletic. You know, I'm actually like, I'm the like least lethal, weakest little dude at the table, you know. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, cool. And we're going to get lunch right underneath, like next to the Eiffel Tower. And the waiter comes out and he's like, what do you guys want? And we're like, oh, a couple of guys are like, I'll get a Coke. I don't drink soda. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just get some water or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Nah, I'll get a Coke with the guys, whatever. And we look at the menu and one of the guys notices, man, like a Coca-Cola is like $20 US here. And I'm like, $20? Like, excuse me? Like $20? like, what is this Coca-Cola gonna, like, what's it gonna do for me? You know what I mean? Like, what's this Coca-Cola gonna do for me for $20? You know what I'm saying? To get $20 of my money, you know? So I'm like over here, like, upset, like, dang, I shouldn't have got this Coca-Cola, man. Like, $20. Like, that's what I thought I was gonna pay for the whole entire meal, you know? So I'm feeling crunchy some kind of way, as they say, you know? And sure enough, man, I'm sitting there and my eyes start to open and I'm looking around the table and I'm like, yo, these guys are all at the top of their game. Here we are. We're on a security detail. We're traveling more than the president of the United States, the biggest State Department detail at the time, like private side State Department detail at the time. You know, during the glory years, I got this crew of like straight up legit dudes. We're hitting 40, 50 countries. On repeat, like we're just going to country. We're like, this is the top of the game. Executive protection is 1% of the security industry, you know what I mean? Like, or at that time. So we're looking at, you know, I'm up here, I made it, you know, and these guys are all strong and I'm strong. And I remember thinking to myself, if we're so legit, if we're so strong, if we're so everything that everyone wants to be and everyone that we want it to be, like, this is it. And we're sitting here tripping over $20 of Coca-Cola. Like, we're tripping over $20. Like, we're tripping over $20. And like, the voice in my head was like, is this you, Byron? Like, this is what it is, man. Like, you made it now and you're tripping over $20. This has made it right here. That's what this is. This has made it to like the top of the game and you're still tripping over $20. Maybe you sure you made it, bro? You sure you're good? Like, I'm having this conversation in my head and I'm like, you know what? No, this has not made it. You know, this has not made it, man. This is the fruit of my labor. This is my fault, you know, and then I started to take responsibility. This is me taking responsibility for it. And then I realized something. I don't have any power. You know what I mean? I started realizing, like, as a guy right now in this position, I don't have any power. Well, who has the power? And that's when I started to realize, you know what? My client's got power, because if one of us tough guys goes down during this detail, within 24 hours, he can have us replaced with another tough guy who's so cool and tough and awesome. And then, you know, my detail leader has some power. You know, he's the guy kind of running the show. He can get more guys in here. My boss, the company owner, he's got some power. And I made this differentiation in that moment between strength and power. And that's when I started to be like, you know what? I've acquired strength and I've acquired the fruit of strength, you know, which is only going to take me so far. And I realized, like, in life, if I want to acquire actual power, I need to cultivate a different type of strength, not physical strength. And that's when I started to realize I need a gift, or I need intellectual strength. And then that's when I said, you know what, in my heart, I'm going to dedicate myself to the cultivation of my intellectual and internal strength, mental, emotional, spiritual strength. I'm going to dedicate myself to that practice and to the end of being that strong mentally, emotionally, and spiritually as I am physically. You know, I need my internal strength to far surpass my physical strength. So that's when I began listening to audiobooks and upping my game. And I think that's truly when, that's just when I took things to the next level. So, boom, here we are with the book. Second book I ever read as an audiobook, life-changing book. Me and one of my best friends, best road dog in the industry, went through this book together, and we watched our careers change and become more successful as a result. And we watched other guys make these mistakes that are in the book and fall as a result. We watched them plummet as a result of not being able to not knowing what to do in the right situations and not having the social intelligence to navigate the realms and the environments that we were all in at the time. So without further ado, I'd like to go on ahead and introduce this book as The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I don't ever know if I say his name right. Is it Robert Greene or Greene? But 48 Laws of Power. 48 Laws of Power. This book is amazing. And what I want to do is I want to go through the book and I just want to skim over with a really broad brushstroke, 100-foot view of the different chapters in this book, because they give you an idea of, you know, kind of the book's, this is the book's way of navigating social circumstances. And I would I would present to you, I would postulate, I would hypothesize, I would want to encourage you, to look at this book as kind of a great guide. I know this book is also very popular in jails and in prisons because social dynamics are everything in there, in those environments. But look at this book and its rules. Obviously Bruce Lee, everything, absorb what's useful, disregard what's useless, and add what is essentially your own. But look at it as one discipline, one style, if you will, one technique, if you will. Look at it as a way, to navigate social circumstances. And really kind of the reason that this is important, and some of you may have heard me talk about it before, but real quick, it's because what we do in executive protection is we do a number of different things, but we're inside from the moment you step into a protection detail. You're dropped into a social ecosystem. You've got to survive. And it's the social ecosystem that really, 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 really dictates your longevity. It is. It's not how tactical you are. It's not how cool you are. You probably only got there because of who knew you, and now you're in this position and you'll only survive because of who knows you really long term, But you're in this position and, you've got to manage now your team and the guys you're working with. You have to be respectful of them. You've got to be able to work with them well. You've got to be able to stay on the team and not make any mistakes there. And at the same time, you've got to manage your relationship with your client, which sometimes is a direct relationship. Sometimes it's not, so these are the things you got to consider, and you got to figure out how to do that most effectively. And that's why it matters. You've also got to manage your client's friends and those other social circumstances and those social dynamics, so social dynamics plays so heavily into being successful in this industry. And that's one of the reasons why it's something that I focus on. You see me focus on the tactics on a regular basis as well. But the social dynamics of it, man, is to be continued. So we're going to go through a few of these laws, and it might even take me a few podcasts. We'll have to see. But I want to touch on them. Number 1, never outshine the master. Never outshine the master is huge. You never want to outshine the master for a number of different reasons. But you just got to realize that executive protection is not about you. It's not about how cool you are. It's not about even really showing your client how cool you are. It's about showing your client what they want to see and what they want to know. You know what I mean? I'm not saying deceive them. I'm not saying be false. But I'm saying, you've got to learn how to kind of less of you, more of them. They are your paycheck. They are your priority. They are the people that you're there to serve. That's the right way to say it. I just hit it. The right way to say it is they're the people who you are there to serve. And when you're there to serve someone, it really is all about them. It's all about whatever they need, not just some of the things they need. You know what I mean? Some guys are like, I don't get doors. I don't, carry stuff. Like, yeah, I understand. But, what I have seen, and I understand, and sometimes I err on that side, situation dictating, but I do know that the willow tree survives because it's flexible. And, if you're not flexible in this game, if you're not flexible in life, if you're not resilient in life, it's going to make things hard on you. So never outshine the master essentially means, don't one up your client. If your client's got caught a fish that was 1 foot, don't be like, oh, I caught a 3-foot fish. No one likes that guy anyways. And it's a bad habit anyways. This is really bad within the security team, like guys trying to one-up each other all the time, and it's horrible. It's just miserable to be in the chase, stuck working with a one-upper. We had a guy, we called him and one for a while because he always one-up everybody. It is one of the most annoying things because it takes everything you're trying to share with the person, you're trying to connect with the person, and they're constantly making the whole entire conversation about them. If you one-up your client all the time, they will not like to be around you. If you are a one-upper and you one-up any human being on the planet, you will notice that your pool of friends will get smaller and people will try to get away from you. So never outshine the master. If your boss gets a new watch, don't get a cooler watch and go show him your cooler watch. It sounds simple. And all of these things are simple, but remember, Leonardo da Vinci said simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So don't miss that. You know what I'm saying? All wisdom is simple. It's just not easy. That's the game. So never outshine the master. If your client got a new something, don't go get a better new something and then, come and have a peeing contest with them about it, because that's not your role, that's not your job, and you really just don't want to be in competition, because what happens in competition, someone gets eliminated. So there's a winner and there's a loser. You want your client to feel as good as possible. This is a service industry, so lay yourself down over it. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. That's one for life, really. That's one for, the only people that can hurt you and can betray you are the people that are inside your circle of friends. And if you learn how to use enemies, meaning people that have done wrong to you, they have more to prove. So there are certain circumstances when you want to actually let those people prove themselves to you. You have the moral high ground on them, and you can actually leverage that and utilize them effectively. Always say less than necessary. Now I'm skipping around. This is law number 4 now. I'm going to go in order, but I'm not going to read all of them to you. Always say less than necessary. This one is huge. I've seen more guys get themselves in trouble inside the vehicle or with a client by just talking, because they want to sound important. They want to be the guy, and they just want to say things. And so they start talking, and what they end up doing is they put themselves in a position where they have to answer questions and they have to have the right information, and then they run into a dead end and they look like an idiot. If your client's asking you a direct question, answer that question. These people have a lot on their mind, a lot to do, and all of your peripheral information and your dressings and your toppings and your lettuce and your tomato and your pickle and your onion that you're putting on the burger, they may not want that. They probably don't want that, and they probably don't need that, and they probably didn't get into the car just to listen to you talk. They probably just got home from an event and they want to go inside. They don't want to get snagged by you on their way in the house because you came up to unlock the door, and now they're in a 15-minute conversation. And just think of it this way. Whose time is more valuable? Literally. Observe that, Whose time is more valuable? Literally. That's another question is, do you know how much you're worth per hour? Have you ever calculated how much money you bring in and actually broken it down over the course of a year to see how much you're actually worth per hour? It's pretty amazing. But you got to think, whose time's more valuable. This is one of the reasons why I never tie my clients up more. I never think that they're so interested in me that I need to just talk to them about things. I don't tell you, do not give them anything you can't take away. Because this week, when you're the flavor of the month, it might be cool to sit there and talk about how awesome, whatever is. It might be cool to talk about, your political views, and it might be cool to talk about all that fun jazz. But after you made a few mistakes and you've been on the job for a while, maybe it won't be cool. Maybe it'll be like, and you know what, that Byron guy, he said he went and did this, he went and did that. I mean, I've seen little things used against guys, things like drinking, he drinks and he calls himself a Christian. You know what I mean? Because when someone's finding a reason to get rid of you, they'll use anything, so always say less than, you never want to give everything in terms of overextending yourself. I say always say just enough. Answer the question, answer it directly, and answer it thoroughly. The more you talk, the more opportunity and opening there are for you to make mistakes and for you to misstep. So, always say, I think it's always say just enough. That's how it makes sense to me. Law number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Boom. This is huge in our industry, man. This is huge in our industry. So many people backstabbing each other. So many people trying to steal each other's clients. So many people just kind of going in-house or out-of-house. Or, I've seen little wars break out within security teams, But what you got to remember, first and foremost, and the most, is your reputation is everything. When you go to another job, remember, this is 1% of the security industry. It's like security special teams, special forces, security type stuff. It's small. It's a small community. You make a mistake, you stab someone in the back, you lose your honor. There's a high probability that's going to carry you, that's going to follow you. But the reality is, don't not do it because you're afraid you won't be able to find work. Be honorable, maintain your honor, and don't stab anyone in the back, because it's the type of person that you are. You know what I mean? You're the type of person that doesn't do things like that. Have the type of character that will help you rise to the top, deservingly rise to the top. You know what I mean? And because once your reputation is tarnished or damaged, that's it. It's forever tarnished. It is literally never gonna. It can come back, but you'll always have to do explaining for that one or two things that you did, and it's tragic, man. It's tragic. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. And the other thing is too, your reputation precedes you. You know, people hear about you long before they meet you, especially nowadays with social media. They hear about you long before they meet you. And what are they hearing about you? Before you can defend yourself, your reputation will either defend you or it will injure you. You know, so it's huge. Your reputation will precede you. And then the other thing is, if you do show up, you know, all you got to do is, you know, make a phone call. Anyone has to do is make a phone call, and they're going to find out who they're dealing with eventually through 6 degrees of separation. That's even smaller in our industry. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. That's law number 5. Create an air of mystery. This kind of goes along with the never say too much. Law number 6 does. You know, it's keep, for me, it's keep, you know, let them know about your family, you know, your women and children or whatever, but keep an air of mystery. Don't tell them all of your political views. Just, it kind of goes with, don't tell them everything. You know what I mean? Just look good and leave it at that. Work good and leave it at that. You know, an air of mystery helps you have more power for longer. And it also goes into kind of the don't brown nose. You know, when you're trying to find your way into the client's good graces, these people are used to people brown nosing and like giving in and like always like, you know, there's a way to gain their respect and serve them and honor them without the brown nosing. I don't know. It's just one of the most unattractive things that I see grown EP dudes do on a regular basis, and I'm always just like, ew. And I know a number of different clients that, like, they always detect it because they have people doing it with them all the time, and they're also like, ew, you know. So, you know, you just don't want to be that guy that they're like, oh, who's taking me to the airport tomorrow? And they're like, Jeff. Okay, well, all right. You know, you don't want it to be like that. So, and those are the guys that usually brown nose, and those are the guys that talk too much that I get clients that act like that I hear that from, you know. So considerations, you know, I want you to be successful. I'm going to invert law number 7, and I'm going to say law number 7 says get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. I'm going to invert that one, and I'm going to say do all the work, not do all the work, but never take the credit. Never, ever, ever take the credit. Personally, my favorite position in a detail is like second in command or the bottom of the barrel. Naturally, I don't get to do that anymore. I'm forced into being more like in leadership roles and billets, but I love leading from the front, man. I love leading from the ground. I love being that first guy out there, shooting all my information to my leader, because the leader's got the responsibility, man. It's no pressure down there at the bottom. It's like, I just do the best I can. Something goes wrong, you know, falls on my leader. But if I can be the best follower or front leader as possible, then I'm valuable to my leader, and my leader respects me and honors me and appreciates me. If I can cultivate that relationship within the chain of social dynamics, then I'm the man. You know, he's going to take care of me because I'm taking care of him. You know what I'm saying? And if I score a home run or a touchdown or a kill shot or something, and I give him the credit for it, I'm like, nah, man, that's our DL, Jerry, man. He's just really good. He keeps us real organized. And what you really want to create is you want to create this like network where you guys are all giving each other credit, and the client can't really put their finger on who the hot guy is, who's the guy, because everyone's like, nah, man, Jeff's awesome. No, dude, Troy's the guy. No, man, Greg's the guy. He's the dude. No, dude, Lee is the guy who taught us everything we know. And so everyone just looks, and it's this beautiful thing. It's this beautiful environment. It's this beautiful team dynamic where like everyone's so selfless that no one knows who to take care of. And then they just feel, you know, we have a really good team, and there's strength in the team. You got to realize, like I say, Darwin's, I mean, the deal is survival of the pack, not survival of the fittest. That was always the argument. You know what I'm saying? Survival of the pack is really where it's at. You know, you guys want to cover each other as much as possible. You guys want to build each other up as much as possible. You guys want to that's really where the safety is. That's where the power is. That's where the fire is. So I would say never take the credit. Never take the credit. There's certain situations where you're kind of in the middle of a fight and it's like a predatorial thing that taking the credit actually makes sense because you don't want the wrong person to take it and build themselves up as something they're not. But generally, I never take the credit. I always push it onto my buds. And they do the same thing back to me, and it's a beautiful rotation. Win through your actions, never through your argument. Law number 9. Love that, man. A man convinced against his will is of the same will still. Is another another wise saying. You never really want to conversationally. It's not about conversationally asking people to do something or trying to get them to do things. You want to prove it to them as often as possible, especially when it comes to team dynamics. Hey, this is what I think. This is why. And then if you can demonstrate, always demonstrate, because there's just too much of an ego battle that results from arguing or disagreeing, and ego battles are very dangerous, because then people get their daggers out, and you don't want to die that death of 1,000 cuts or just get daggered at the Senate because you offended someone's ego, and that's what happens all the time. 13, when asking for help, apply to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This one's a big one because sometimes people think that telling someone that they owe them, you owe me or whatever, is a good way to get someone to do something for you, and it's not. It's really not. It's actually one of the faultiest ways to get someone to do something for you, and then when they do it, it's actually a begrudging that they're doing it for you. So the other approach is simply to let the person know the benefits of working with you. Let the person know, hey, we need an ammo stipend, and if we get an ammo stipend, this is what you can expect. Showing that you train us to this specific level is going to help with insurance and help us get more coverage, or just come up with reasons why you need something you need, because there's going to be times in your career, or when you're with your client, where you're going to need to ask for something, a new vehicle, or more stuff for the CP. And the best way to do that is, especially when you're dealing with business folks like execs and stuff, you need to appeal to how it's going to make sense for them financially, how it's going to make sense for them in many different ways in order to really get it. So you want to appeal to the person, whoever you're asking the favor of. You want to appeal to them instead of being like, hey, we're here, working hard, working long hours, or you owe us, anything like that. You do not want to do it that way. So always appealing to the person's self-interest when you ask for something is actually a very powerful tool that I have seen work on many different occasions, especially in a business setting. Pose as a friend, work as a spy, law 14. Okay, this one is actually pretty big for executive protection, because a lot of times, depending on your client demographic, things may be disorganized. I'm just going to say they might be disorganized. I've found that the nature of this job is you have to be extremely fluid, extremely flexible, very good at working with a lack of organization, and you have to be able to deal with the fact that your client gets to do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, and you need to flow with it, and you need to know everything, and you need to have the best security plan possible to be able to flow with it. And if you're working in a private capacity like I have been for the last 10 years, you need to learn how to flow and suck it up and just go with it. You don't get to tell your client what they can and can't do. So if they want to go here or there or the other place, they're going to go. So, this work as a spy thing comes into play when you start to look at the fact that half the information that you're going to get is going to be as a result of listening to the house staff, talking with the house mouses, the house mice, talking with the nannies and finding out okay, what's going on, what's it in the horizon, what's the temperature like, talking with the rest of the actual people in the house. So you're almost always working as a spy, and you're picking up vibrations from all over the place all the time. That's kind of part of what you have to do in executive protection to stay ahead of the 8 ball. Otherwise, you will get blindsided. Your client will be like, hey, let's go here, let's do this, let's do that, and you'll have no idea it was coming, and you won't be able to prepare. And if you don't have any idea that it's coming and you're not able to prepare, you still better knock it out of the ballpark. But if you had an idea it was coming, you're in a much better position. Crush your enemies totally. What I would say about this one, law number 15, is try not to have enemies. If you know someone's working behind your back as an enemy, maybe it's good for you to call them out. Maybe it's not. 90% of the time I won't call them out. 90% of the time I'll watch them and I'll let them work and I'll keep an eye on them. Because confronting a social battle or an ego battle head on can be just so difficult to end. If you subversively attack it and slowly win them over before they've all out declared war on you, then it's much easier for them to reverse themselves and reverse their stance, and then you win them over by winning them over, and you win the battle by turning them into an ally. Not only do you destroy them, but you actually you convert them into energy for you, which is the best victory if you ask me. But if you are going to get rid of someone, or if you are going to try and get rid of someone or anything like that, make sure you do it right, because in today's society it can really come back to bite you with all the litigation and all kinds of things that can happen. And then also with regards to the social dynamics, you never want to come at anyone in any capacity to wipe them out and fail. So yeah, crush your enemies totally. That's a very good law for everything. Law 16, use absence to increase respect and honor. This one's actually huge for executive protection. Law number 16, use absence to create respect and honor. It's huge. I believe in a lot of the details I've been a part of, there's one guy, there's certain leaders that are supposed to be there for certain times, and they end up really doing a great job, and it's like they're just chosen for that period of time. They're untouchable and they're with the client. But for the most part, I find that being with the client all the time, it makes you vulnerable to saying one wrong thing on the wrong drive at the wrong time, or making one wrong move. And that one wrong move can start to unravel your ball of yarn. And we call it being close to the fire. When you're close to the fire, it's dangerous. So being able to maintain a healthy professional distance from your client is actually really good. It's actually kind of keeps you alive longer, keeps your star power going longer when you're just on the travel team, or you're just on the at-home team, and if you're on both, and if you are close quarters with the client all the time, respect their space and respect their privacy. People want to have all this FaceTime with the client and want to get in good with the client and think that they're the number one dude with the client. And those are the guys that fall on their swords, because it's just a matter of time till they say something wrong, or they do something wrong, or the client sees something that they don't like about them, because familiarity does breed contempt. So use absence to increase respect and honor. Familiarity breeds contempt. Law number 19, know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Don't think for 1 second that you can just do what you want and you can just, you're the dude and you can just flow. I mean, pride comes before a fall is really it. Different people deal with different things different ways. If you offend me, well, you won't. I won't give you that much power. But, some people, if you offend them, they won't even tell you. They'll just wait, You might be thinking and then they'll strike you when you're weak, or when you're vulnerable. Don't think that because you're the big bad security dude, you can just act like your stuff doesn't stink. It is very dangerous. Don't disrespect the house staff. Don't disrespect anyone ever. You know what I mean? But know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person, because don't disrespect someone who's trying to walk up and talk to your client. Because who knows, maybe that's the client's cousin. You know what I'm saying? Be very careful when you deal with people, because you've got to remember that you represent your client. You literally are representing their brand, and your brand, and the brand of your employer. So know who you're dealing with. If you offend the wrong person, like you offend one of the nannies or one of the house cleaners, and they're around the client all the time, every day, and they know that person doesn't like you, death by 1,000 cuts. They just take their time. Every once in a while, they say one or two bad things about you, one or two bad things about you, one or two bad things about you, and it can wear on you, and it can get you fired because of something that is completely unrelated, that you will have no idea what you did wrong. You'll just be gone one day, So never offend the wrong person, man. Do not commit to anyone. What this means to me is don't commit to anyone's social battle in your environment, in any workplace. Look, oh, I can't stand such and such because they're so this way. Okay, cool. Hasn't done anything wrong to me. I'm not getting in that with you. Oh, I can't stand this person because da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, whose side are you on? Don't get on a side. Look, I'm just here to work. I'm here to make my money. I'm here to contribute. I'm here to try to make us all do as good as possible. And then I'm here to roll out and go home at the end of the day. I love you guys. Yeah, whatever. It's all good. But I'm not here to get involved in any kind of anything or be on anyone's team or be on anyone's side. You know what I'm saying? This one says, law number 21, play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. I kind of say I'm not as brutal about it, but I think that has to do with fake beta. Like when I come into a security detail, I don't come in arrogant, you know, default respectful. Some call it fake beta, where you just come in instead of trying to be the alpha. Oh, I'm the most legit special secret, you know, secret squirrel, you know, master Jedi ninja samurai guy, you know, nah, just, hey, you know, this is me. This is what I've done. Ultra humble, but always put yourself below everyone and always build everyone up. And it really just, you know, oh, you know, Byron, you're doing so good. You're so awesome, blah, blah, blah. Well, nah, man, like I legitimately can't do it without you guys. Like, and mean it, you know, like, dude, I'm just really lucky and really blessed to be on this team, to be here and not to be like the truth to me is like, I'm just glad not to be cold and wet. You know what I mean? Like if I'm not cold and wet, I get to shower. I got to try not to be fat. You know what I mean? Cause there's got so much food around me. Like the little Marine in me is like, we're good. We're winning. You know what I mean? So, you know, always kind of put other people above you and always try to make everyone else around feel good and feel respected and you know, take the lower road whenever you can, you know what I mean? Because you don't want people to feel challenged and you don't want them to feel insecure because they start gunning for you and they start looking for you to make a mistake. And that's what's dangerous. Use the surrender tactic, number 22. Transform weakness into power. Be the first to admit you're wrong. No, you know what? That makes perfect sense. I totally understand. Or, you know, I didn't think about that. Back up, back down. Be the first to admit you're wrong if you're wrong. If you're not wrong, don't. But, or sometimes if the person has more power than you and they need to be right, let them be right. Pull them aside, talk to them about it later. You know what I mean? Or don't talk to them about it. Let them be right. Let them fall on their face if they need to. You know what I mean? Like, but don't start that ego battle of having to be right because it's the principle and da 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 da. You just won't be there that long. You know what I'm saying? So, use a surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. I do it all the time. Law number 22. That is a solid one. You need a certain humility to pull it off at first. Then you see it work, and then you're like, This is bangarang right here, bro. Then you got to make sure you do it with the right attitude. Concentrate your forces. Law number 23. I mean, that just kind of goes without saying. Play the perfect courtier. Number 22. Really, to me, what that comes down to is really pay attention to your social dynamics. Really pay attention to the way that you affect people. Really pay attention to, you know, don't talk just to talk. Be very deliberate when you speak. And really focus on creating an environment where the strongest person in the room is the person who is able to achieve the highest number of win-wins for everybody in the room. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how cool you are. It doesn't even matter how rich you are. The most influential person in a room is a person who everyone understands and knows is able to create the highest number of win-wins in a certain set of circumstances. And if you're playing your social dynamics correctly, everyone's going to understand that about you. And so my advice is, when it comes to being the perfect courtier, the courtiers comes from like back in the king's court. When I approach a security detail, I literally think of it as we're pieces on a chessboard. We're in the king's court now, and everyone in the court is always vying for attention, and there's all these social dynamics, and if you step wrong, like, people will legitimately poison your wine, your soup, and you'll die, or like you'll get daggered in your bed. Like, that's kind of what it's like, you know. So playing the perfect courtier is, you know, learning how to navigate that social environment efficiently and effectively, and there's a lot to be said for that. Recreate yourself. You know, they might know you as the shooting guy. That's good. That might get you to a certain, level of respect and familiarity, but don't be afraid to just turn into the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy, or turn into the, like, for me, I'm always recreating myself, even down to, because every time you recreate yourself, you give yourself a second win, you give yourself a new mystique, you give yourself more mystery, and everyone's kind of like, oh, well, it seems like he's really about this now. I recreate myself all the time, even all the way down to shaving my beard. I'll grow a gangster beard out. People will literally identify me by this beard, and then I'll shave it. Go look at my Instagram right now. You know what I mean? So I'm always recreating myself. Oh, Byron, yeah, we got him. He's a Marine. He's a great Marine. Oh, yeah, no, Byron, yeah, he's awesome. He's a competitive shooter guy, Oh, Byron, yeah, no, he's great. He's I guess he's studying to be a psychologist. He's a psychology major, Oh yeah, Byron's, like I'm always recreating myself constantly. Keep your hands clean. One principle that's gotten me really far in this industry is do no harm. Do no harm. I focus heavily on this one. Law number 26. Do no harm, man. I really do everything I can to honor that. And at the end of the day, no one has anything bad to say about you, and it's really a beautiful thing. If someone's acting up and somebody's making a lot of mistakes, to be honest, and this is kind of like bad advice because it's very difficult to synthesize, but the reality is their character ends up taking them out of the equation. They wipe themselves out. They get themselves eliminated by their bad character, because character always eventually becomes apparent. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of let them fall on their own sword, if you will. This whole I do no harm. It's like, I'm probably going to get it tattooed somewhere at some point. Do no harm. And everything really just does take care of itself. Keep your hands clean. And when your clients see that you keep your hands clean, it actually totally plays to your advantage, and the clients, like, they realize that you're not going to do any harm to them either. So that's a huge one. Enter action with boldness. This is huge, because your ability to do this, it's kind of what we do, man. Enter action with boldness is huge. Like, when you're walking your client somewhere, do it with boldness. And even if you do it wrong and you do it with boldness, it'll still go over better than if you're like kind of light footing around with it. You know what I mean? Hit everything with boldness. You remember violence of action from the military. Approach everything with boldness. And 9 times out of 10, what your client's looking for is confidence. When you do make that call, or you do go do whatever it is. So approach everything with boldness. That's huge. And that's half the reason, like, why I rehearse things so much. I go walk the path, go walk the walk to the room, walk the walk to the platform, walk to the green room. I walk all of it a lot, because I want to be able to execute all of it with boldness. Because it's a lot of it's feeling, like your client's reading your body language, they're reading your feeling. Put yourself in their mind. They're in a position where a lot of times they're in a place they've never been before, and they're depending on you to help them safely navigate the environment. So they're literally like reading everything. They're flowing with everything you're doing. They're literally with like you're their lifeline. You're their stability. You're their anchor. So, if you're not executing things with boldness, it's ultra problematic, and it can make them lose trust in you. You want it to be as them to be as relaxed as possible. Plan all the way to the end. That kind of goes without saying, like, you got to be able to figure out, you want to make your plan all the way to the end. Don't plan to the end of the show. Plan all the way to when you get back to the hotel room. Plan all the way to when you get off the private back at home. Yeah. Law number 30, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Huge, man. Huge. You don't, like, I see some guys play the card where, like, yeah, oh, we're just working so hard here. Oh, it's so terrible. Same circus, man. It's just crazy. It's so crazy. No, you're a professional. This is what we do. It's a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Like, let your victories look effortless, and just be positive and be like, hey, this is what we do, man. Boom, let's take another lap. Oh, okay, cool. We're going out to eat after the spot. Okay, cool. You know, we're going to the after party after the after party after the after party. All right, cool, is what we do. Let's roll. It's only 1 or 2 nights. It's only a little bit of time in our lives, man. We're getting paid to do this, and it's awesome to do this, and it's hard to do this. Is what we do. You know, I'm not cold and wet. You know, boom, let's go. You know, so I think there's so much to be said for that. Make what you do look effortless, man, and something that I really believe in. I honestly can't stand being on details with guys that make things look difficult, make everything look like it's so hard and like so terrible. It's aggravating and annoying to me, because there's no reason for it. You know, the thing about the 48 laws of power is a lot of them are very they're kind of non-conventional. You know, they're not like your clean, nice guy stuff, you know, rules that are just like wonderful and it's just straight up social dynamics, you know. Take it how you want to take it, good, bad, ugly, whatever. And I'll walk through them with you, man. Like, I'm not one of those people that just like believes in fluffy frou stuff. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. It's very important, I think, in a lot of circumstances. Your goal, remember, with your client is to get your client what they want. You want to not say no as much as you can, you know. So there's something to be said for making sure your client has options that'll make them happy, but maybe making sure those options are things that you know you can protect them as they venture into. So, you know, maybe if there's a third option that's not that safe, you present option A and B that are much safer, that you can probably convince your client to want to go do. I think it's just part of the job, you know, presenting the best options with regards to your task, which is keeping that client safe. So I will always do that, man. Control the options as much as I can, and make sure the client's getting what they want. That'll keep them the safest. So that's the game. Play to people's fantasies. I have no problem with if someone, you know, you're going to run into instances in the industry, and this is law number 32, that last one was 31. You're going to run into instances in the industry where clients are going to have an idea of executive protection. They're going to have an idea of what you're supposed to be. And if that idea is not unsafe, it would behoove you to cater to that idea and to let them have their idealistic and fantasy of who you are and what an executive protection agent is. As long as it doesn't, you know, impede on your professionalism or impede on your ability to do your job, your efficiency or effectiveness, you know, let them have that. You know, you're here to make them happy, you know, and the only people who can't afford to have those idealistic, you know, grandeurs of, you know, whatever they call it, just fantasies of what we do is and have it be inaccurate, are the other people on your team. Those guys need to really be the real deal, you know. But the client's friends and family and anyone outside of the actual like operators, let them believe what they want to believe and do what they want to do, and you know, let them get excited and be like, wow, you guys carry guns, and like, oh wow, you know, let them. It only brings you more power if you really think about it. If you really, you know, it only benefits you. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. Law number 34. I love it. Dress the way you want to be addressed. You know, you are always dictating to people how they should treat you based on the way you treat yourself, based on the way you carry yourself, based on everything. Yeah, you're the help. Yeah, you're part of the staff that's assembled to help this person life better. But the reality is that you still dictate the terms of which people interact and treat you based on the way you act and treat yourself. So I want my clients to believe that they have the most articulate, sophisticated, intelligent, strong, efficient, and effective executive protection agent that money can buy. I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, but I want them to feel the sense of of personal pride. When I say personal pride, I don't mean personal pride as in like prideful pride. I mean I'm going to do a good job because my last name's attached to it. I mean, it's going to be the best when I get done with it because Byron Rodgers did it, and that's what Byron Rodgers does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want them to be like, we have Byron Rodgers with us. You know, that's the way that I really want them to feel about having me work for them and their family, or having me manage their security matters. I want them to feel that, and in order for other people to feel that, I have to embody it. You know, so carry yourself as royalty. You know, carry yourself as a king so you can be treated like one. Master the art of timing. I mean, I shouldn't have to explain that one, but what we do is everything we do in life is time bound. But with regards to moving your client in and out of circumstances and situations, when you get them off the platform, you know, a lot of it has to do with timing. When you show up, I mean, the guys that work celebrity details know this all too well. Everything depends on timing, you know. Sneaking clients out in and out of buildings, like all of it has to do with client timing. When you show up, understand your client's flow. Are they a few minutes late? Are they early? Are they on time? You know, understand their flow and cater to that flow. You know, don't ever be late, period. But mastering the art of timing, it's huge. That chapter is awesome. Create compelling spectacles. This one's it's dangerous, but it's good. You know, like, there may be times when you are able to just like relax with your client and you can show them some of your skill sets, or if you guys go to the range or something like that, feel free, man. Let them see what they're paying for. Let them experience what they're paying for, you know, like, let them see what you can do. It definitely will gain you some rapport if it's done tastefully, if it's done right, if it's done without ego. It can really work out to be a good thing in your favor. Think as you, but behave like others. That's one of those chameleon skins, man. When in Rome, know where you need to know where you are, and use the tackle that is relative to that environment in order to be successful in that environment. There's no shame in it. Be smart about it. Think as you, but behave like the people around you, you know, in order to survive in that social circumstance, those social settings, as long as it doesn't go against your values and things like that, obviously. Strike the water to catch a fish, Law 39. That one's deep. I'm going to let you read the book to get that one. Despise the free lunch. Everything comes at a cost, especially with us. You know, I've had clients that love buying me gifts. You know, sometimes it's good to take them. Sometimes it's not good to take them. You need to know when it is and isn't, and you need to know what clients to accept them from and what clients to say, no, I respectfully decline. I shouldn't do that. I don't feel it's right or professional, you know, but also don't risk offending your client to not take a gift. So, gift giving is something that happens in our industry, and it's something that I couldn't give you I don't know like a rule, like a way to approach it. I just know you really need to trust your instincts, and you need to look at the outcomes that have taken place with the other guys in your shoes when they've been given gifts. You know, sometimes it's not a good omen. Sometimes it is. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes, Law 41. So big. It's so big. It's so big. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. First of all, it's very difficult to look and be as big as a great man in a great man's shoes. Those are huge shoes to fill, and the second guy that steps into those shoes will almost invariably look small. Just naturally, you just will. It's hard to fill great shoes. Additionally, you've got to look at why that guy got axed. Like, I've literally seen this happen so many times with details. Guys like want to hop in and be the detail leader, you know, and be the lead dude, lead sled dog. And I'm always like, yo, Law 41, man, why is that guy not there anymore? What happened? Where's your ex-husband? Why'd you guys get divorced? Yeah, I mean, like, why'd you guys break up? You know, like, if I can, I'll go back and find the other guy and be like, yo, so why'd you leave the detail? Why'd you get fired, bro? Why'd you really get fired, bro? You know what I mean? Like, and find out what the real skinny is on the Winnie, man. You know what I'm saying? Find out what the real ham sandwich tastes like, because what you're being sold by the client and what you're being sold by the corporation or whoever you just got hired to work is almost invariably never the truth. It's usually just as much the truth as listening to why, you know, a girl broke up with her former boyfriend is the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting one side of the story. You're just getting one side, or vice versa, a dude and a chick, or what, a chick and a dude, whatever you're into. But like, you're only getting one side of the story. So when possible, I'll go chase that dude down. I'm like, hey man, so like, how'd everything shake out, bro? Like, did it really happen this way? Because that's what they're telling me, and they'll be like, no, bro, it happened this way. This is what happened. And you need to watch out for such and such because such and such and the thing and the deal. Oh, and then this one over here, they're trying to be cool and they're making money over on the side on this thing over here. And da-da-da-da-da-da. And if you go over there, then they're gonna try to axe you because you're gonna mess up their money thing. And, watch out for the lady with the pink hair because, she's trying to be the new best friend. You're gonna get the whole deal. So just be careful when it comes to stepping into the shoes of a great man, whether he's great or not. Find out as much as you can about them shoes you're about to put on, because very rarely are they just simply as they seem to be. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. That's just a principle that's been around for a while, with regards to people coming at you and social warfare. You find the root, you find the cause, and you deal with that directly. Work on the hearts and minds of others. Law 43. I'm always doing that. Everywhere I go, I'm doing that. Every time I interact with someone, I'm doing that. Every time I walk into a room, I'm showing everyone respect. I'm default respectful. Hearts and minds, man. That Marine Corps stuff right there. I'm shaking everyone's hand. I'm finding the person in the room that never gets any respect. I'm looking them in the eyes. I'm shaking their hand. I see a little old lady. I'm helping her with her stuff. I'm getting the door. I'm doing all these things, not necessarily if I'm on a protection detail, but like I'm always doing these things so people just come to know and recognize me like that. But if I'm with a client, I walk in, I'm paying attention to what I need to pay attention to. I'm not being a jerk. I'm not being a tough guy. I'm giving guys the nod that deserve the nod. Shaking men's hands that deserve that handshake. I'm looking men in the eyes because I need to gain rapport with as many people in my environment in order to be able to influence as many people in my environment as possible. Or if I do have to go, and get into an altercation, people in the environment subliminally are already starting to identify me as a good guy. Like, no, he was a good dude. He had a fair handshake. So I'm always working on the hearts and minds and gaining a rapport in my environment. Oh, excuse me, sir. I need you to move out of the way. Or, excuse me, sir, ma'am, can you just step to the left here? They're already cool with you because you already came in and you're being respectful and you're already working the room. You're always working the room. So I'm always working on hearts and minds. That's a big one. Law number 45 for leaders: preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. That's a big one because it's if you come into a detail, one of the biggest ways for you to get resistance is to simply come in and be like, yo, we're going to do these changes. We're going to do this, that, and this. People might not even be resisting you. It's just the change that they're resisting because we inevitably don't like change. Most people are not inoculated and conditioned to high levels of change. So they will view you as a problem when the real problem they have is change. You're not even the problem. They just don't like the change. So as a leader, ramp that up slowly but surely. Don't just start out changing everything with everything being changed. Come in, let things be the way they are. Let guys get used to you. Gain some rapport, and then maybe change something. Make sure you have enough rapport for the guys to listen to you. Ask everyone on the detail why they don't do it the way that you think they should do it. Because the reality is, there's probably a really good reason why they don't do it the way that you think that they should do it. You know what I mean? They probably already tried it that way. Come in, learn, and then make your decision. Sometimes you really need enough time to be able to like wait for all the pieces to show up as to what is the best move and what isn't the best move and who's really friend and who's really a foe. Because you got to remember, you get into a new detail. There's honeymoon period, man, where everyone's pretending like they're good. Even with you and the client, there's honeymoon period before the client, ends up, before you really see what's really going on, So, yeah. Never appear too perfect. Law number 46. Never appear too perfect. That's one of the ones that I really always work on. Anytime anyone gives me a compliment, I say thank you respectfully, and then I give them a compliment, or I deflect, or I'm always there like, hey man, you did a really good job on that advance. Hey, thanks so much, I appreciate it. Fortunately, the guys were supporting me back home with all the information I needed, and I'm just part of a really good team. And honestly, I'm really happy to be here. I'm not cold, I'm not wet. I get to shower every night, so There's no reason why I'm just want to do my best. Always want to contribute. You know what I'm saying? Never appear too perfect, because if you appear too perfect, you become an easy target and you arouse other people's jealousy. There are people around you that have a less evolved ego, that are less secure than you. And if you appear too perfect, they're going to target you and they're going to attack you. And they're not even going to be conscious of it. They're going to legitimately think you're the worst person in the world. And it's going to have nothing to do with you and everything to do with the insecurity that they have in their ego because of kind of the lesser person that they really truly are, you know? So never appear too perfect. And for me, I say appreciate, but always deflect and build everyone else up. Always never take the credit, give it to everybody else. In victory, learn when to stop. Law number 47, this is huge. Never go past the mark that you aimed for. This isn't to say don't go the extra mile. Always go the extra mile, that's fine. But when it comes to like a victory, and when you do something correctly, how do I say this? There's danger in trying to take good momentum too far. You know, if you've done a good job, let it be a good job, and then get off the X and let them remember you for having done that good job as long as possible. Get away, get out of the spotlight. You know what I mean? You execute a whole movement good, let somebody else get in there and stay out of that spotlight. Really what this is, leave a good taste in everyone's mouth, in your client's mouth, in your detail. Leave a good taste in their mouth concerning you as long as possible. You know, don't overdo it, because if you do really good and then you turn around and do really bad, it like cancels out the good in like a really devastating way, in my opinion. So, you know, don't go past the mark you aimed for. And then the final one, law number 48, assume formlessness. Assume formlessness. I love it, man. Be wise as a serpent, but be harmless as a dove. You know, be like water, my friend. You know what I'm saying? You put water in a cup, it becomes a cup. You put it in a bottle, it becomes a bottle. You put it in a teacup, it becomes a teapot. You know what I'm saying? Now, water can flow or it can crash. You know, water's formless, shapeless. You know what I'm saying? So that's that Bruce Lee on there. Become formless, become shapeless, be all things to all men. Never obviously break your moral compass, obviously. Never break your professional compass, obviously. But there's so much to be said for being able to assume formlessness. You know, no allegiances, no ego, no rigidity, just flow. Make space for other people, make room for other people, make other people great. You know, allow other people to be themselves, empower them to be themselves, protect them so they feel safe enough to be themselves, do no harm, assume formlessness. It's a beautiful thing, man. These laws, the 48 laws of power, I didn't read all of them, and I didn't even go into depth on all of them. This book by Robert Greene is amazing, and I think if I could tell it'd be one of my top 5 you must read, no matter what you do for a living. You absolutely must check this book out. So boom, there it is, 48 Laws of Power, just a quick book review, and from time to time I'll do those. Another good book, like while we're on the topic, As a Man Thinketh, man. That was one of my first books that is the first audiobook I ever got into. Maybe we'll review that one on here sometime. But and then also I'll get into the executive protection books, Left of Bang. I've got, Yosef Badu from the Hunter Killer program coming on here. We're going to talk about all that stuff, man. How to stay left of bang, pre-threat indicators, and all that tactical prowess that I know you guys really want to get out of this podcast, that you're going to get out of this podcast. And so I'm really looking forward to everything that we have coming down the pipe, man. Our sponsors are awesome. Gray Man Suit Company, they're giving us a coupon code here. I'm pretty sure it's going to be my name, Byron, and we actually may have a guest appearance from them just to hear about the guys behind the suits, their careers, what they know about the industry, and what they want to do, how they want to contribute. Their gear so far has been awesome. I got one of their suits and I absolutely love it. So there's going to be more coming with that. I'm going to do a review on my website, ByronRodgersMotivation.com, to outline that. Visit executiveprotectionlifestyle.com as well to stay in the loop with the podcasts, get on the mailing list and all that fun stuff so you know when these things drop. And so you know the types of things that we're doing and when we're doing things, when we're giving things away, all that fun jazz. So it's been good to spend this time with you guys. I hope you found value in this book. Find as much value in it as I did, but you got to get it. Everything Robert Greene is awesome too, by the way. All his stuff is just fantastic. So until the next podcast, y'all stay sharp. And remember, one mind, many weapons is the goal. Out. Boom. And to support this podcast, go to executiveprotectionlifestyle.com and contribute to our Patreon account. That Patreon account is what helps me make this podcast possible, contributing to this brand, what we're doing here, making it so that I can bring better guests on, making it so that we can plan more events and just expand the contribution to the private security industry, and also to making America a safer place by teaching people how to protect themselves and the mindset behind that, the lifestyle behind that. You guys are already killing it. $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, whatever you can do that you know you would probably just lose in the mattress anyway or spend on McDonald's. Hey, you want to put it towards something that's going to good use, put it towards a podcast, and get involved in our Patreon account at executiveprotectionlifestyle.com. And if you want to find me, that's ByronRodgersMotivation.com. Do whatever you can, contribute whatever you can to that Patreon account, because it makes all of these things possible, ladies and gentlemen. So much love. Thank you, and thank you for making those contributions. You guys rock. We're already doing amazing there, and it's just because of you guys. So thanks once again for those contributions. Boom. And no podcast would be complete without a word to my sponsors, the companies that believe in me and that give us the opportunity to get cool stuff at a discount. So Rogue American Apparel, awesome American clothing. Check them out. The second you see their gear, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sidekick mounts, all the cool videos you see me making with first-person shooter stuff, videos with cameras mounted on my weapon and all this other fun trash. Check them out. Primary weapon systems, simply the best rifles that are being made right now. It really is the evolution of it's the evolution of guns and the evolution of rifles. Check them out. They make the best rifles, hands down, because of their piston system. There's a science behind it. Check them out. Gray Man Suit Company, all the different, we've all had the idea of like, man, why does executive protection, why are we doing these suits? We can't move, it's hot, it's terrible. They make suits for what we do, with the stretch where you need it, with the reinforcement in the suits where you need it, where the pockets in the suits where you need it. Duke Defense, all the different accessories that you need to make your rifle manipulations and everything, and also your pistol stuff faster. Duke Defense, check them out. All these companies have given me a code. Use my name, Byron, BYRON, for 10% off. Byron, BYRON, at checkout, online, on their websites, for 10% off. Boom. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Executive Protection Lifestyle Podcast. This whole entire thing actually just started off as a Facebook group that blew up and is one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing, executive protection Facebook group online. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group, join the Facebook group. Follow us on Instagram and check us out at executiveprotectionlifestyle.com. If you want to find me, that's ByronRodgersMotivation.com, and I'm on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. So until the next podcast, y'all, stay sharp out there. And as I say it, one mind, many weapons. Talk soon. Out.